So back in 2018, when CA released the trailer for Three Kingdoms Total War, I absolutely lost it with excitement. This is a period of history that I was looking forward to Total War doing for such a long time. But I was also a bit skeptical. I was worried that CA would completely ruin it, like they did with this guy. Yeah, thanks for that one, CA. Appreciate that. However, I can honestly say I'm really surprised. I actually really enjoyed this Total War game. I think they've captured very beautifully this very important time period in history. The battles, the generals, and alongside the other themes I'm going to talk about in this review, and hopefully you can find it helpful and maybe you'll think about purchasing the game if you enjoy this review and it gives you enough information that you need. So with all that being said, let's get into the video and hope you enjoy it, guys. So when I was a kid, I used to love and play non-stop a series of games called Dynasty Warriors, which focused on the Three Kingdoms warring period of China. The story itself comes from historical records, but has been romanticized in the historical novels by Guan. Hopefully I haven't butchered that name. But he tells the story of this period of China as one filled with brave generals, ruthless rulers, and three kingdoms battling with each other for complete control of China. The events and stories from this period of Chinese history have become legend in China and the East, and the significance of this story is very similar to the influence that Homer's Iliad had to the Western society and world, but in this case it's in the East. So these stories really are sort of the baseline of Eastern literature and storytelling, if you like, in certain areas, and it is itself an incredible story. I've read the 3 novels myself, and sorry, there's 4 books, I beg your pardon, but they are really awesome and of course very romanticized as well of what probably did happen. But anyway, with all that being said, let's get into the game and talk about its features. Visually, this game is awesome. The design of the campaign map is absolutely incredible. The various elements of the Chinese landscape, such as the heavenly mountains, the lush fertile greenland, and in some places the desert, feature heavily on the campaign map as you direct and navigate your armies through it. The visual themes in the game are also beautifully implemented in its features, such as the reform tree, or tech tree if you want, which literally features a peach tree, which is very significant for this time period and the story, but I'll get on to that later. The legendary lords, generals and warriors of this time also make an appearance, of course, and they look awesome in this game, and you can tell that CA really did their research as to what these characters supposedly are meant to look like in the grand legend of this time period, and also they probably used references to pop culture, maybe referring to Dynasty Warriors in this case as well. But as an example, a famous general from this period, Zhang Fei, is featured with his wild beard, famous serpent spear. He was also known as a bit of a wild drinker, which is featured in his character description, which I personally loved, and I'm really glad that they put that in there. The battles also look visually stunning and similar to other Total War titles, and you do feel that you are deeply rooted into the time period of the game's setting, in this case ancient China. The only development point I could really think of regarding the visuals of this game is that the tech tree, whilst visually stunning, can sometimes be a bit overwhelming and impractical, as there are a lot of branches to follow, literally. And when you first see it, you basically have no idea where to start. And I think CA could have made this a bit more clearer, as it is a bit of a mind screw, if you like, looking at it. Apart from that development point, visually the game is beautiful, and I can't say anything else that I didn't really like about it in this department. So let's move on to the gameplay. So going on to the gameplay, in terms of Three Kingdoms, there have been some very good improvements in certain areas of the Total War series. For instance, diplomacy, which in previous Total War titles, to be honest, has been a bit of a joke and not really had much depth to it. In Three Kingdoms, however, this is actually something that CA really did focus on, and you can tell because of the features that are available in the diplomacy area of this game. You can form coalitions, a deep alliance with several factions if you need to secure your borders to pursue military campaigns. You can trade food and gold for items you have obtained on your military conquests, as well as secure favour and good relations with other factions to take advantage of later. The diplomacy also offers a quick deal tab, which automatically shows which deals are possible with certain factions, which can save you a lot of time, as you will know which deals are not possible, no matter how hard you try. They'll have the factions lined up, and they'll either say maybe, yes or no next to each faction tab when you click on the specific deal that you're looking to make with that faction, which is really useful because it just makes it very clear, like, oh, am I wasting my time? Or, oh, I can maybe try and negotiate, giving them a little bit of this to secure a peace so I can pursue the war on this front whilst covering my borders on the other side. You get the idea, but it's a really useful tab, and I really, really respect CA for getting this system very, very accurate and easy to use, basically. Moving on to the battle side of things, it works very much in accordance with previous Total War titles. You use select units to counter certain enemy units. You build a balanced army with units of your choosing, with the specific generals available to you. There are, however, some complexities to be mentioned, and that is certain general types work better with specific units. And in this game, CA went for this color-coded scheme, which is a little bit complicated, but I'll explain it now. Specific color-coded generals basically work with units that have the same color as they do. So yellow units go with yellow generals, red with red. You get the idea. You are, however, free to mix and match your own units and build your own army how you like, regardless of the colours. However, I would not recommend this, and although it's probably largely down to personal preference, the best army composition that most people recommend, including myself, would be one red general stack, one blue and one purple. This is sort of like a warrior type general with some cavalry. A blue general covers archers and artillery, and purple is sort of a duelist general, so he can fight with other generals and generally be quite good at winning, and also has basically the infantry body of the army. When it comes to recruiting new units and unit replenishment, they are one and the same, in the sense that when recruiting a new unit, you will have to wait a few turns for the unit to be at full strength again. This also applies to replenishing your troops after a battle. It will take a few turns for your units to be at full strength again. You simply just have to wait in one of your territories in order for the replenishment to take place. I honestly found this a bit annoying, but it does make sense, as each game turn is one season of the year, making it 4 turns to make 1 year. Thus, it would take time to recruit men, if it was a real life situation, into an army. This mechanic also influences your strategic decisions, as sometimes you may want to risk pushing forward into enemy territories if you have them on the run, or you may wish to hold back to replenish your troops before pressing forward onto the next battle. Both choices can be risky in your campaign, so weigh your options carefully before pressing forward. Moving on to the campaign gameplay, you have 2 modes to choose from, Romance Mode or Records Mode. Romance Mode allows for an absolutely bombastic style of play, where generals can duel other generals, and when strong enough they can pretty much demolish entire armies in some cases, and it's just pretty chaotic overall, but it's really good fun. The duels are awesome, and it's really cool to see such important historical characters face off against each other. However, if a more tactical and historically accurate style of gameplay suits you, then Records Mode is perfect for you, where it features a much more vanilla Total War experience, where generals have their own retinue of bodyguards, and you will have to rely more heavily upon military tactics, maneuvers and such to win each battle. I think that it's really great that CA offered both these options to us, as it doesn't alienate people who prefer a more vanilla Total War experience, and those who are perhaps new to the franchise but really love the mythology behind the generals of this period. There's something for both of them, which I think is really, really great. So, what are my final thoughts on the game? I honestly really love this Total War title. It's got all the generals and the characters from this historical time period that I wanted to see, and I really like the fact that they've got 2 modes that you can choose from for the campaign. You have Romance Mode, where you can enjoy the generals being ridiculously overpowered, taking on loads of troops, and you've also got the Records Mode, which allows for much more vanilla Total War experience if that's what you'd like. It's honestly been an absolute pleasure to play it, and I really recommend, if you're looking for something really different, a really unique Total War setting in China during a really cool period of history, I really recommend you pick it up. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my review on 3 Kingdoms Total War, and I'll see you in the next video. Please drop me a like if you've enjoyed it, and or a dislike if you didn't. And also don't forget to comment on my bald head, that would be great. Anyway guys, cheers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.